Welcome back to Cinemation Movie Recaps. Today, I show you the movie Divergent from 2014. Beware of spoilers. In a futuristic Chicago, the sun rises over a field. On the ground lies an old, rusty ship that has probably been abandoned for years. Lake Michigan seems to have almost dried up. We move on to the rest of the area, where people walk around in uniforms the same color as their houses. Beatrice Pryor tells us that after a major conflict, the civilization was divided into 5 different sections, called factions, to maintain order. The erudite group includes the smartest and most rational thinkers. They are dressed in dark blue. The amity group is that of the kind and peaceful. They grow crops and support other factions. They are dressed in orange and yellow. Candor is a group that emphasizes honesty and is dressed in black and white. The Dauntless faction attracts the most fearless people. They are the protectors of the nation and are famous for their courage and outlandish behavior. Their uniforms are of dark color. Beatrice and her family are members of the Abnegation faction. They are selfless and do not value power, which earned them the nickname Stiffs. They care for the factionless who have nowhere to call home. The Abnegation is the government of the town because they are so selfless. Andrew, Beatrice's father, works closely with the head of the Abnegation, Marcus Eaton. Beatrice and her brother Caleb go to the station, where the 16-year-olds take their aptitude test. Peter, a member of Candor, taunts the Abnegation kids and blames them for the reduction in resources. Beatrice is still unsure where she fits in. After giving the students a brief overview of the test and its beginnings, Beatrice gets up to take the test, which is proctored by a woman named Tori. To begin the test, she sits Beatrice in a chair and has her swallow a blue serum. Beatrice closes her eyes and then opens them to find herself alone, without Tori by her side. She stands up and notices her reflection in the mirror. As she turns her head, she sees more and more reflections. Then a rabid dog appears. He growls at Beatrice and sprints toward her. When she closes her eyes, she sees the dog as a puppy in front of her. A younger version of herself appears, eager to play with the dog. The dog resumes its former appearance and lunges at the young Beatrice. The older Beatrice intervenes and throws the dog through the floor of the illusion. Beatrice is shaken awake. Tori is in a state of panic. Beatrice inquires about the outcome, to which Tori replies that they are inconclusive. Tori explains that according to the test, Beatrice is best suited for abnegation, but also has the qualities required for the erudite and dauntless factions. Being divergent is a rare scenario where a character is suited for more than one group. Tori instructs her to go home and claim that she has been sickened by the serum. When Beatrice returns home, she is reluctant to tell her family about her findings. She says only that she has been classified as an abnegation. Andrew claims that he needs to clear the air about abnegation, as there is a problem with the faction's support for the factionless, as well as a report that Marcus beat his own son. It is also implied that the erudite, not the abnegation, wants to take over the government. The day of the election ceremony has finally arrived. Geni Matthews, the leader of the erudite, meets Beatrice and Caleb Kinder. It is implied that someone in the erudite has spread the rumors about Marcus. At the beginning of the ceremony, the new initiates take their places at a table with 5 bowls and a knife. To choose their groups, they cut their hands and pour a drop of blood into one of these bowls. Caleb chooses erudite. There is sporadic applause and abnegation, but the erudite members greet him with pride. Beatrice stands up, her face flushed. She cuts her hand and nearly spills blood in abnegation, but chooses Dauntless instead. Her parents are astonished, and the members of Dauntless welcome her warmly. Beatrice gives her mother one last look before the initiates leave with their factions. Beatrice joins the Dauntless group along with the other initiates. They run wildly, jumping to the top of the elevated tracks and running after the passing train to jump on before it is too late. Beatrice meets Christina, a Candor initiative. Then they have to jump out of the moving train onto a roof. Eric, the fearless leader, gathers everyone over the edge of the roof to jump into a pit. Beatrice gets things started when he asks for a volunteer to make the first jump. After some hesitation, she jumps into the hole and lands on a net. The intrepid teacher 4 pulls her out. He asks her name, and she decides on the nickname Triss. When everyone else arrives, he takes the initiates into the pit, where they all eat and have a good time. Triss meets an erudite initiate named Will and Christina's Candor acquaintance Al. Max, another commander of the Dauntless, appears and welcomes the new initiatives to the Dauntless. The initiatives, including Triss and Christina, are triumphantly whisked away. The initiates are given new all-black Dauntless clothing and prepared for training to prove they are worthy of remaining in Dauntless. Eric warns them that they would be expelled from Dauntless if they did not rise to the top ranks, and that they would be forced to remain factionless and not return to their former home. The first stage of training is in combat, in which the initiatives compete against each other. Triss competes against Molly, the last person to jump into the hole. Molly easily defeats Triss. Triss also performs poorly in target practice and other tests. Triss is ridiculed by 4 and Eric, who question her ability to keep up. Christina, Will, and Al take her to a tattoo parlor to cheer her up. Triss sees Tori and goes after her, even though she seems to be avoiding her. She points out to Triss that it was a mistake to choose Dauntless as her new faction, as there are people in the faction looking for divergence. Triss receives a tattoo of 3 flying birds from her. After an incident with Christina on the bridge, the initiates practice throwing knives at targets. Al throws his knife poorly, and it misses the target completely. Eric asks him to go get it, but Al refuses because everyone else is already throwing knives. Eric interrupts the training and orders Al to stand in front of the target. Triss informs Eric that throwing his knife won't prove anything. Eric forces her to stand in for Al. 4 gets 4 knives and prepares to throw them. He throws the first knife far away from Triss and then gets closer with each one, until the last one is close enough to slash Triss' ear. She informs 4 after practice that he cut her, but he says Eric wouldn't have let her go if she hadn't been scratched. Molly and the other initiatives congratulate Triss. Peter sarcastically approaches her to congratulate her and adds the news that there is a news article about both Triss and Caleb leaving Abnegation for other factions. The next day, G9 and some members of the Erudite Council enter Dauntless, where they are believed to be looking for the Divergence. Triss never gives any information about her situation, but G9 advises her to contact them if she needs anything. Triss is ready to go up against Peter. 4 reminds her of one of the maneuvers he taught her. Peter has the advantage of being much bigger than Triss, but Triss hits him in the throat as planned. Still, he punches her hard, takes her to the ground, and then knocks her out with a kick to the face. When Triss wakes up, she notices Christina and Will standing next to her in black jackets. Will informs Triss that she has been unconscious for a day and that Eric has decided to remove her from the faction. Her companions join the other Dauntless initiates and board the express train. Triss, not wanting to be thrown out, runs after the train and climbs aboard. Eric is amazed at her determination and invites her to join their game. Eric and 4 assemble their teams for an extreme version of Capture the Flag, where everyone carries guns with arrows that mimic the pain of a gunshot. Triss and 4 work together to take out Peter and Eric, and Triss defeats Molly. With Christina's help, they manage to capture the flag and triumph. Triss joins the others on a crazy zip line across town as part of a final Dauntless initiation. As she nears the end of the line, she breaks the brake cable. Dauntless initiates bring bags of goods from Amity and load them onto trucks the next day. Triss notices a flash in her eyes, as if someone is trying to get her attention. As she walks behind the truck, she notices that her mother has signaled her. They exchange hugs. Natalie asks Triss if she really received Dauntless for her proficiency test. She admits that her results were inconclusive. Natalie advises her not to tell anyone and to be careful, because the Erudite is on the hunt for Divergence, seeing them as a threat to their society, because they don't join just one faction and are capable of free thought. Triss then asks Natalie if she is Dauntless. She walks away without answering. Triss' rank rises above the dreaded red line, putting her just ahead of Al. Her current rank is number 20. The next step of training is a simulation room to test the initiate's fear control. Molly leaves the room shaking and trembling. Triss' test is supervised by 4. As the simulation begins, Triss sees herself in a field outside the city, behind a fence near the Amity Group. A flock of crows flies overhead and swoops down to attack her. She tries to escape, but is engulfed by the mud. The crows circle her, but she remembers this isn't real, and swims into a puddle of what looks like a larger body of water. Triss is jerked out of the simulation. 4 inquires how she escaped so quickly. She finished in 3 minutes, which is faster than most initiates. Triss claims she only recently entered the water. In her second simulation, she approaches her friends, but is stopped by an invisible barrier. Christina seems to giggle at her before talking to Peter. Triss becomes aware that she is in a tank that is slowly filling with water. It gradually fills to the brim until she is completely drowned. She sees her reflection and says to herself, "This isn't real." She gently taps the glass, causing a large crack before it finally shatters completely. She wakes up from the simulation again, and 4 wonders aloud how she got out of there so quickly. He is suspicious and tells Triss that no Dauntless has ever finished the simulation so quickly. Triss pays Tori a visit. She tells Triss that her brother George was a Divergent, but chose the Dauntless as his faction. When he was discovered, he was thrown into the abyss. Triss visits Caleb at the Erudite headquarters. The other Erudite members are surprised to see a Dauntless member among them. Triss tells Caleb that she believes the Erudite intends to take over the other factions, starting with the Abnegation. Caleb, now acting and thinking like a true Erudite, accepts this but remains more loyal to his faction than to his family. Triss leaves in tears when she realizes that her brother will not help her. 2 Erudite authorities try to stop her. When G9 intervenes, she punches one of them and tries to hit the other. She takes Triss to her office to rest. Triss is arrested by 3 masked men when she returns to the Dauntless. They drag her and almost throw her into the abyss, but she resists. She reveals one of them and is surprised to find that it is Al. She fights them off, and 4 comes to save her. He tends to her wounds, and she expresses her surprise at Al's attack. 4 claims that he is trying to improve his rank because he is about to be kicked out. Later, as everyone is eating at the pit, Al tries to make up for his behavior to Triss. She tells him to leave her alone, and that she will kill him if he touches her. Triss and Christina then come across a chasm from which some Dauntless members are trying to pull a body out. It is Al, who jumped to his death out of guilt. Triss feels responsible for this in some way. Triss confesses to 4 that she's not sure she'll pass her final test either. When 4 asks why, Triss says that 4 knows she is Divergent. 4 confirms that he knows and says he will help her. After successfully passing the simulation, Triss finally becomes an official Dauntless member. The Dauntless members are injected with a tracking device in case anyone gets lost. But Triss realizes that they were actually injected with the mind control serum. The Dauntless faction rounds up the Abnegation members, but Triss and 4 refuse to do so. But Max and Eric learn about it and conclude that they are both Divergent. They get into a fight that ends in a confrontation with G9. Triss learns that her mother was also a former Dauntless. They reunite with the others and tell them about the situation. Now they must invade the Dauntless fortress to stop the Erudite reign with G9 at its head. During their last fight, 4 almost shoots Triss, but he was able to shake off the effects of the serum. They finally stop G9 with the suggestion serum and reunite with the others on a train. Triss is still grieving the loss of her parents and is unsure of her place in the world. 4 explains that he is aware of the situation. Triss tells again and explains that they lost their home and loved ones and that they feel like the factionless. However, they will continue to fight if necessary. When the train takes them outside the city walls to Amity, the film ends.